independent. You know it. You love it. You can't live without it. Rockland World Radio.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes. Hello, everybody. We have a wonderful interview here with Dr. Q. Everybody, the moment that you all have been waiting for. And, this is how we do it every single Wednesday from 7 to 8, NMS Youthology Hour, Rock and Roll Radio, and Modern Metro TV. We are in here, live and direct. And this is amazing. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? I
am awesome. I am ecstatic, actually. This is, amazing right here. But my first question to you is, tell us a little bit about yourself. Just a brief story about your, successful upbringing and to where you are now.
Okay, well, I've had quite a diverse upbringing. I grew up in the northeast of England. It's a small area called Newcastle, and predominantly white area, especially when I was in school. I attended a convent school, which I found it most rewarding in many ways, especially because it was an all-girls school, pretty rich and diverse. And I attended the local university there. I did my undergraduate in politics, and then my master's in social sciences. And then I did law for about a year, but it really wasn't for me.
Right, gotcha.
And towards the end of my master's, I came here. I was visiting my sister. She lives in Long Island, and she's an attorney, so I was visiting her. And I was introduced to my husband over here. So that's why I'm actually over here. And so this was back in '98. And when we got married, came here, and I was working in her law practice for a few years. But I think it was just something just wasn't really me. I felt that I needed something a bit more, I would say, less on the corporate side and more something a little bit more easygoing, although I wouldn't say research is not easygoing.
Right.
And I spent about 4 months. I did a research workshop project with Princeton University. It was actually about employment discrimination, and that was hosted downtown, but it was a collaboration between Northwestern University and Princeton. And I've also done some research work with the social science department over in NYU. And each time they've always said, why don't you decide to do a PhD? And I'm like, I just don't think I can do that. It's a lot of work.
It is. It sounds like it.
It is, but I really enjoyed the whole research aspects and deepening and developing further. So I actually considered doing it, but my main topic, I always wanted to look into something about education and crime, because sociology and criminology is my actual background.
Got you. Okay.
So I went back to England towards the end of 2004. I enrolled in same university, Northumbria University. I sort of know the whole social science department and friends there. And actually, I fell into the whole aspect of looking into bullying as well as racism, purely because there's a huge gap in the literature,
right,
especially that looks into more on a qualitative basis, and that's actually delving into interviews. And I didn't realize how difficult and how sensitive the topics are and getting access into schools. Most schools do not want to acknowledge that they've got a problem, especially on the racism side.
Didn't even know that.
Oh yes, absolutely. And private schools, they have a high issue of bullying as well, but a lot of the government reports, both here as well, try to, play down the level of antisocial behavior that goes on into schools. So over a period of time, the research wave fell through. I saw that there was a gap between incorporating aspects of bullying and racism. And bullying itself is such a diverse and complex topic.
Yeah, it is.
There is no actual universal definition, which is why it's been such a problem for academics, for school teachers, to really understand what it is and why it's happening. And it's the latest, I would say, attitude that academics are taking is trying to not downplay bullying as per se, but they are really trying to take away the actual the factors that fall under bullying,
right,
which is why I've got this. I brought an umbrella. I wanted to do a short demonstration. I mean, through government reports and academia, they tend to define bullying as a systematic abuse of power. Taking power, and it's about control and intent.
Right.
Now, keep these three concepts in mind: power, control, and intent. Now, as we know, bullying takes place not only in schools, in the workplace. It's probably worse in the workplace than in schools.
It is.
In the community and with various domestic relations, and it's a growing problems of healthy teen relationships, especially when it comes to sexual abuse. What academics are all trying to, I would say, the latest trend is just to downplay. Focus on the behavior, and it's not under bullying. So, I've got this umbrella here. This is bullying, whole concept of bullying. As I said, it's about systematic abuse of power. But when I also conducted interviews in schools, and I also did, I spent about a year and a half in working in primary schools, as well as interviewed children in schools here, they also could acknowledge about one of the incidents being a case of bullying as well. Again, think about power, control, intention. Sexual bullying, domestic violence, workplace bullying,
Right.
homophobia, transgender, and just a general being picked on for being different.
Right.
So it's all about people, whether whatever ages, and even just people of special education needs, disabled.
That too, yeah.
Those who have autism. I have actually been in a classroom trying to do outreach work with young people, and where one child has been practically ignored by the whole class, and even the teacher sort of distanced himself off a little bit because the child was autistic. Didn't want to get involved in any of the activities, but I didn't want to let go, so I kept him on the side, gave him attention. I made him do things like write the date of my things on the board, and then he got more involved.
Gotcha.
So you've got all of these social problems. But what is the main thing that ties them all together? It's basically the perpetrator or the perpetrators wanting to exercise control and power with the intention to do harm over the victim.
Right.
So my attitude is that is sexual harassment bullying, is homophobic targeting bullying, special education needs, is it bullying for me? Yes. It's because it all comes under that huge umbrella. So that's the reason for the umbrella there. But the bullying takes place not only on a, I would say, psychological level. It's psychological as well as social. It's not only just traditional face-to-face, whether it's physical or whether it's verbal. I would say it's also, and depending on the nature, the gender, the age, it's very, very difficult to sort of, like I would say, pick up when it's more indiscreet.
Right.
Spreading rumors, social isolation, developing, I forgot the whole cyberbullying aspect as well. That is also an increasing problem. There's a various different aspects. There's anywhere where you're trying to undermine a particular person's ability to feel confidence in themselves. And that is the main thing. And it's whether it's a case of through jealousy or they're not conforming to the social norms. It's for a variety of reasons. But bullying is the one key factor that holds them all together.
Right.
And it took about 6.5 years to really figure it out. And with racism, again, it's a similar thing, but it's targeted more due to their ethnic background, to culture, race, religions, but again, the whole differences. Yeah. Where I earned my actual PhD was the young people's perceptions of victims of bullying as opposed to victims of racist bullying. Victims of bullying, they saw them more as victims. When it came to racism, the whole discussion of the perpetrator just goes out the window, and they talk more about the victims. Well, we have a lot of asylum seekers and refugees. They're in the community. They're taking our first place in the home, benefits. There's that kind of hostility.
Right.
So virtually we're basically justifying the perpetrator's actions.
Right.
And the kind of schools that I interviewed in, where there was less, I would say, support for this kind of social, poor social ethos in the school, there was more of a problem. And that was in a more socially and economically deprived school. Secondly, I interviewed in another middle to high school that was more affluent, where there are posters on the board, they have a zero tolerance, they challenge young people about certain racial derogatory comments and behaviour. And there was more support, but still they had more of a physical problem. And a third school I was targeting, I interviewed in, that was it was a small special needs schools, a referral unit for children who've been excluded from mainstream schools due to antisocial behaviour. And what I found over time, over the period of years, the nature of the problem still remains the same.
Right.
Bystanders, as in the young people, they are the key witness, their powers and tools to really control the bullying environment, but for a number of reasons, for several reasons, they don't want to. And I even, discovered this, that the whole sort of trend, especially bullies who are smart, they're athletic, and they're very popular. They do not want to go against them. They'd rather either do nothing or someone would actually rally around them. This has been a problem for decades.
Wow.
And there's been a lot of research done from that. There's one professor from UCLA, Yana Yanoven. She conducted, just about 2 years ago, a study in over 11,000 students in 11 schools in LA. And she came to the same conclusion.
Okay.
I was in a school in Brooklyn just after Thanksgiving, presented to all of 8th grade students. And I did presentation. I was on the stage with the mic. I did the way I sort of targeted was an interactive game, and I found that this was a very effective tool when I was in primary schools. I developed a whole bunch of anti-bullying scenarios, and I had the teachers standing at four corners of the room with big placards with the answers. Stand up to the bully, tell a friend, tell a teacher, do nothing. And I made them all stand up. I'd read the scenario out, and I say, go and stand under the answer you think is right. I said, none of them are right or wrong, but what you would do, and do not follow your friends.
Right.
And under various situations, the vast majority would be standing up to the bully or tell a friend. Wow. But when it came to particularly about standing up to the perpetrators who are deemed to be cool, they all literally ran under the do nothing.
Wow, do nothing.
The teacher's jaws dropped. Mine didn't,
yeah.
But vast majority said, well, it's not our problem. This is something that I've been hearing from talking to children at the age of 6 through to 16, 17. It's not much of a problem, or they don't want to be targeted next. There's a variety of reasons.
Right.
And since I'm from a sociology and criminology background, I actually incorporated from the research the social psychology factors that explain bullying, as well as looking at the socioeconomic environment, which not many, academics really do. Most of the research in bullying is from a psychology background and organization, so they tend to omit looking at the social and economic environment. As far as preventative intervention factors are concerned, you have to incorporate both the social, psychological, as well as in the environment, because there's not a one-fit prevention work that fits all schools. Every school has a different problem.
Wow.
So
So it's not like not to cut you off, but this
Not
is like it's like a really deep research as far as bullying is concerned. You took it
really
to a whole next level. Like this is interesting. I mean, which brings me to my next question.
Sure.
Honestly, it's like, talk to us about the Action Against Bullying, or the AAB. And
okay.
What was the inspiration that sparked the idea to create the organization?
Okay, well, since it took me 6.5 years to actually get the PhD, and I moved back here, I developed such a passion for the whole area of the work, and I wanted to work with other organizations. Not an easy industry to get into. I've got all this research, and believe me, I've got about 35 pages of my bibliography in my thesis, and I converted, and I actually got it published into a book. That's like 2% of what I've read, as well as the social media. I've got all these tools, and I just couldn't leave it alone. And is there something I just wanted to do? I've got so much to contribute to schools. So I decided to go solo about a year, 2.5 years ago, and I slowly started just doing more research. I wrote a couple of papers, got my book published, and to start developing modules. And the way I felt that I could contribute to schools is looking at the background that I have. I can go into schools, I can help them to basically do intervention work and prevention work, looking at the social aspects of the school. So Action Against Bullying really is more about training teachers and guidance counsellors through very simple modules, and whether they can want to purchase modules online or do it through workshops. And it's basically they will impart their tools and knowledge, train the young people. It's more through social and emotional learning. This is another thing that has been a big spread in the research, and all academics understand that you have to, in order to tackle a social problem issue, you have to reach out to the people's needs.
Okay.
So it's through various tools. And I also, with my work, I don't just go straight into the activity. I give them a little bit of the academic background, a bit of the research, what the research says, some statistics. And it's from all different topics, from what is the actual definitions. There's so much work that needs to be done about what is the definition, because not many people understand that. And moving forward through to developing various tools to cut down on cyberbullying. Right,
yes, because that's actually really even more popular than ever, because of the internet and the social media.
Yeah, it is very popular because it's the damaging, and it's been really glamorized, especially through programs and films on TV.
Yeah.
Because of the powerful tool. It's a 24/7 thing.
It is,
in schools. I mean, back in the day, when I grew up, we didn't have cell phones.
Right.
It was just things said to your face, or picked on behind your back, but once school was over, you went home. It may still play in your head, but you felt safe at home.
You felt safe at home, yeah.
With cyberbullying, it goes on.
It's not over.
Not over. Once something is up on the web, text messages are sent. It's there.
Yeah.
Whether it's through the school holidays, it's there. And some people react differently. Some people are able to get over it. Some people are able to get more support. But ultimately, some people are so psychologically damaged that they decide that it's just not worth living and take their own lives, which is why it's being given so much attention. But in all actuality, traditional bullying is as rampant, if not more rampant, than cyberbullying.
Yeah. And I feel like also where it also originates from too, like in the school, as far as high school or middle school, it's like sometimes the bullies in their home life are getting bullied by their parents. You know what I mean? So it originates from that too. So then it's like
that is one category.
It's like a domino effect.
Yes.
You know, it's insane. But my third question, is this organization targeted towards all ages, or do you have separate entities within your organization?
I'm mainly targeting middle to high schools, primarily because that's where the bullying is most rampant. But I am catered. I can, target all ages. I believe that intervention should start, as early as possible. When I was working in a primary school, whilst children really didn't understand the nature of racism and any derogatory discrimination, they all knew what bullying was, and I witnessed it as well. And it starts as early as 4. So early intervention, trying to promote a social harmonious attitude. It's all about changing the ethos in the school. It needs to start as early as possible and a continual thing. It's not just 5-6 weeks in the year and boom, you're done with it.
And it's better too, because like the earlier the better. Then it's like the kids will be more aware, and then once they, I guess, hopefully when they reach middle school, they'll be like, okay, I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? But
well, yes,
it happens.
And it's something that it's an issue that not just for the teachers to be aware of. I mean, it's a problem for teachers, and I understand that they need support. They've got so many other pressures that they have to get through. They've got the whole curriculum to deal with, as well as trying to socially counsel. And a lot of incidents that occur, underreporting is a global problem. It's not just a problem in schools in America or across Europe. It's a worldwide problem. And it happens especially after a certain age. Primary school level, they're more likely to reach out to the teachers. But after the age of 10 and 11, especially boys,
right,
they just want to keep it to themselves, or they might tell a friend. There's a lot of secrecy held, and a lot of boys just feel that they're not deemed to be macho if they report that they're
they're
gonna get their heads kicked in
exactly.
the minute they leave the classroom. So then you think about it, schools really are focused on attendance levels and SAT. My theory is simple: a happy child up here is going to be a much more happier child on the paper.
Right. That's true.
So it's as much important issues. There's the whole funding, but parents and teachers need to be supported by not only by the community, by the authorities. It's got to be a whole community support, because it's such a problem, and there are a variety of different preventative techniques. What seems to work well with a lot of schools is what's called a whole school approach, and that is basically each school coming together with the parents, teachers, guidance counselors, all the faculty members, as well as the students, and really sorting out what is the major problem for their school, and then trying to develop their own policy. Every anti-bullying basic policy across the world is basically every child has the right to walk and feel happy and safe in the school, in the academic environment.
So basically, it makes their high school or middle school experience more smooth and more more like a fun environment for them. Fun
environment,
interesting, and basically to help them learn and actually make them want to do.
Well, absolutely,
yeah, that's interesting.
And the more support that peers don't realize exactly how much power they have. As academics, as researchers, we're not making this up. I mean, there are countless academics who spent years in this field. I was lucky enough to be presenting at a conference in Horace Mann School in the Bronx about 2.5 weeks ago, and my co-speakers were from Dr. Dorothy Espelage, who's got over 25 years in experience. Then there was Dr. Justin Patchen, who's even done work with the White House. And they've all had, secured a lot of funding. They've done a lot of work. And basically, they all realize exactly how much power students have. And researchers actually said that when young people intervene in a bullying incident, they can stop a bullying from continuing within 10 seconds.
Right.
So intervention is more about once it's happening or it's happened. Prevention work is work that's done in the classroom based. And across Europe and the UK, it's been legislation since 1994 that every school has to have some kind of anti-bullying curriculum. And in England, they've taken it one step further from even reporting. They've got a duty to record and report.
Okay.
Schools in America, especially on the East Coast, they've got a duty to record, but it's a little bit lax per district school on how much they report.
Wow.
So it's really got to be taking the attitude seriously. And when I was doing my research, obviously I had to go through a whole ethics board because of the nature of the subject, dealing with minors. Everything had to be by consent. And it was the same when I wanted to speak to teachers, youth workers and parents. I would say I probably interviewed close to 200 pupils. And how many parents did I interview? One.
Wow.
Only one stepped forward, and that's because I interviewed her son, who first said yes to the interview. Then on the day of the interview, he said no. And I'm sitting in
It got scary, yeah.
Well, I'm sitting in the
nervous.
headmaster's office, and then he went and spoke to him, and then he changed his mind, and so I interviewed it. But this was a boy who actually, during a focus group in the same school, was so disruptive that the teachers had to take him out of the school. And what I came to realize that he had been badly bullied himself, not only in school but in the community. He was only 11 and he tried to commit suicide at least 3 times.
Oh, wow.
But he didn't want to tell me anything. He didn't deem his problems to be good enough. So I just reached out with general questions, and his youngest sister also had been badly bullied. And interesting enough, he'd bullied her. Because she'd been bullied.
See, that's another thing too. People take
Yeah.
it out on other people, and that's
It's just the
wrong,
way
but,
they react.
yeah,
Then he
it's a
went
domino effect.
home. He went home, and before I had a chance to get consent from the mum, he went, "Mum, you gotta go and speak to this woman." So I was lucky to speak to her, and then she came in with her daughter, not the one who'd been bullied, a third daughter, and she just told me everything. And for confidentiality reasons, I don't want to say too much, but this poor kid had major problems.
Wow.
I mean, him trying to take his own life is highly understandable. What a lot of parents and adults don't realize is just for kids at school, that is their world. What goes on in those 8-9 hours, it takes place when they go home in the community. That is everything for them. So if they're having a miserable time, it's going to take effect, over a long-term basis.
Wow. Well, with that being said,
Yep.
any
I could go
callers?
on for hours.
I can tell, no, because this is really interesting, and I definitely want to be very active in your organization, or
Thank you.
actually get a chance to grace it. So if you give me the opportunity, that'll be great. And
Sure.
any callers that have any questions for Dr. Q, call us 845-353-2910. That's 845-353-2910. We're gonna go on a quick break, I mean like very quick, and then we're gonna be right back. And you can watch our commercial while we're on it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's amazing too.
Thank
Don't
you.
go nowhere. NMS Youthology Hour. Yeah, no, this is cool. This is awesome.
Hi, my name is Dr. Saira Qureshi, CEO and founder of Action Against Bullying. My non-profit organization, the key aim and mission is to install in teachers and guidance councils in schools best bullying prevention practice. This is done by delivering training guidance, particularly through modules into schools, and they can also be trained online. Action Against Bullying incorporates not only the academic background into the various concepts about bullying, but also it looks into the social psychological factors as well as the social economical factors and how this affects how children interact with each other. Furthermore, as we know, schools across America as well, indeed across the whole world, have different social and economic social bullying problems, whether it's more psychological and through physical, or schools have more problems through cyberbullying or verbal and indirect bullying. Using simple, logical and simple steps, the training modules allow teachers to impart their knowledge and equip them with enough tools and teach children through social and emotional learning, and is particularly reaching out to their social and emotional needs and allowing them to understand the various issues and the concepts of bullying and how the dynamics affect their schools, and through this try to reduce and eliminate the problem. Secondly, Action Against Bullying is in partnership with Bullying Intervention Group. This is one of the largest organisations in anti-bullying in the UK. Established in 2011, Bullying Intervention Group was established by 3 directors, highly experienced with over 15 years of experience in bullying intervention. Bullying Intervention Group mainly comprises of an online course for teachers to undergo and complete. Furthermore, schools that have signed up to the big program, as we call it, not only achieve best bullying prevention practice but also win an award. The Bullying Intervention Group have actually expanded on the program, and schools up and down the country, as well as in schools across Europe, Ireland, Brussels and Wales, have also signed up to the program. And this has been an extremely prosperous program for the schools across Europe as well as England. Now, Bullying Intervention Group want to franchise this program into schools in America. Under Action Against Bullying, through as a consultant of Bullying Intervention Group, would go in and deliver professional training in schools. So schools not only would receive full access and resources on the Bullying Intervention Group website and other resources from them, but they would also receive full training and resources from Action Against Bullying. For further information, I would like to invite you to peruse the websites. Mine is www.actionagainstbullying.org, and for Bullying Intervention Group is www.bullyinginterventiongroup.co.uk. Thank you.
We're back. You know what I mean? We're back. NMS Youthology Hour. You already know how we do it every single Wednesday from 7 to 8. You know what I'm saying? And we're back with Dr. Q once again. It was amazing. It's amazing. This whole information that you've been giving out so far is just like, you know, it's like, wow. And I just love the fact that how your organization is so active in all these schools. And, you know, I want to be a part of it hopefully soon. So it'll be great.
Absolutely. I definitely need more manpower.
Yeah. So, like, what makes Action Against Bullying more unique from other organizations?
Okay, basically because of my background. As I said, I tend to look at the bullying aspect not only from a social psychological perspective, but also incorporate the social and economic factors. So I try to develop prevention material, you know, through modules. That's really it starts from the grassroots. That's even how my research and my book, it's basically a really good handbook from defining what is the bullying, why it happens, how it occurs, through to various different kind of techniques to incorporate, to deal with it, as well as further recommendations. So with each of the modules, it is using simple, logical, effective steps. As I mentioned in the first part of the segment, that every school has different problems.
Right.
Some schools have more of a problem where it's more physical. Some schools it's more verbal and cyberbullying. Some it's more on the indiscreet side. And not only is Action Against Bullying, you know, catered to help teachers and train guidance counsellors to train children, young people. Action Against Bullying also wants to go in and do presentations and train help young children as well. I'm initially just starting up with presentations. My main goal is with the teachers, but I do eventually want to expand with them. Secondly, I didn't get a chance to talk more about the organisation that I'm in partnership.
Right.
That's called BIG, Bullying Intervention Group, and I'm very excited to be a partnership with them because they're comprised of 3 directors. The main one, Val McFarlane, who is a dear friend of mine also from the northeast of England. She's the one who founded Bullying Intervention Group. And this came about as each of the directors were a regional director for Anti-Bullying Alliance, which was the largest anti-bullying organisation in the UK until we had a change of government. It was Labour, then it was Conservative, and basically there was a big cut down in the public sector. So all the regional offices closed down, and then Val came up with the idea about Bullying Intervention Group. So this was established in 2011, and all 3 directors have got over 15 to 16 years worth of experience in bullying prevention from going into schools, and they've developed what's called an award scheme. There was a big demand for schools to develop the best bullying prevention practice, and they actually have developed a course for teachers to undergo, and I've done this course myself. I did it last summer, and it's extremely thorough. Schools that actually have passed this course basically get what's called the Big Award for Best Bullying Prevention Practice. But also, what I forgot to mention in the commercial break is that it's because of the quality of the work that they produce, that they've delivered. It's also been nationally recognised as a teacher's qualification. And I met with Councilman Drum in New York City about a couple of days before the UFT conference, and I wanted to talk to him more about Action Against Bullying and BIG, and he was really interested in this, and he said that this would be such an incentive for schools to sign up. And it's I can't give up too much information, but the scheme has been so effective up and down in schools. They've interviewed over, I think, 10,000 children, and they've all come to the conclusion that schools that have signed up to the award, when they have reported bullying, they've had a much better response. They've also developed schemes for peers to actually go towards their high school diploma. In England, 14 to 60, we have what's called the GCSEs, but I'm not sure I don't think the process is such with the Department of Education. They can't do anything for students to go through the high school diploma, but I do know that teachers can gain an extra credit to move from a bachelor's to a master's. So this is another area I want to work with, and because of the kind of course that it is, it's online.
Right.
And it's all different scenarios and situations. So obviously only teachers, guidance counsellors can do this course because they're in the school environment and setting. Then also they have the full access to resources. They've developed a variety of campaigns, from wristbands. They've had a lot of celebrity endorsements, and it's got Talk to the Hand.
Oh, this is cool.
They've been endorsed by the local authorities, celebrity endorsements, and it's a program that's been so successful up and down. Schools in Europe, from Ireland, Brussels and Wales, have signed up. And it's like Action Against Bullying, big is also very universal. It can cater to schools all over America.
Sounds cool, like.
So they want to franchise a program in America with me as the consultant, and basically schools also get continued professional development. So under Action Against Bullying, I would go through and deliver the professional training. So it's kind of like, we both can serve one another, and each director have their own individual or anti-bullying organisation, because you've got 2 in the Northeast and 1 down in London.
Right.
So it's a phenomenal collaboration, and it's something that's unique, and it's no schools in America. I've been keeping my ears open. They don't have anything like this. The National School Climate Centre in New York City, that's a big research department. They do a lot of work with schools, as well as have a big bullying prevention department. They have something similar, but not necessarily in bullying per se.
Right.
And they're slowly branching out to workplace bullying, but they are very, very thorough. That's all I can say.
That is so cool.
So.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Huh?
Thank you.
What did she think about the girl that was beat up and bullied in the McDonald's in Brooklyn, and then now her parents are not even saying anything about it? Everybody's totally silent. Do you agree with the parents being quiet about it?
The parents, I probably feel that they probably don't feel supported enough. No, I don't agree with that. I think there was much more that the community can do to come forward. I don't know how much the police were involved, but probably a lot of the silencing is due to fear.
Yeah, and what's really bad in this country too is like due to propaganda and groups that say there's no snitching code. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really getting out of hand in this country, and that's another thing that we have to get over. So that's what really.
Well, this is a problem. In England, we call it grassing, when you tell one person, and a lot of the reasons why the peers don't want to grass on the bullies, because they feel the situation will escalate, and even the victims don't want to tell the teacher, because they'll feel if nothing's been done, then the bullying situation will deepen 10 times.
10 times worse, right?
Yeah.
So like, how can someone like myself or anyone get involved with the AAB or the BIG?
Well, mostly with Action Against Bullying, definitely we further work with research. You could get involved, contacts with people, to do presentations in schools, and really where you feel you can contribute, coming into the schools and maybe delivering any experiences you have, but definitely more manpower through promoting and marketing the organisation through social media.
Right.
So, and any access you have in youth groups and in schools, that's one really solid way of getting involved with Action Against Bullying.
Cool. That's awesome. So, what is your organization's overall goal or mission statement, if you will?
Overall mission and goal is really just to help teachers and guidance counsellors to conduct the best bullying prevention practice in schools, and really change the social ethos, and equip them with enough tools to try and eliminate the problems and reach out to young people. It's, the mission is very simple, but it's also something that's got to be catered on a long-term basis, which is why the modules that I've developed are something that is ongoing and can manipulate it to their needs.
Right.
So I do know that trainings in schools are not more than 2-3 days a year, and that's just not enough.
Right, it's not, yeah. So tell us a little bit about your book, Bullying and Racist Bullying in Schools. What are we missing?
What are we missing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's basically, it is based on my research. It goes into looking into the definitions of bullying, and also the whole international perspectives of bullying as well. I've got about just 6 pages alone on the definition, and then I go into really a lot of the literature on the theory of bullying and racism as well. And that is probably the most difficult part to really understand and explain. And it just explains it all from the psychological perspective as well as the social, economic, the environment and social ecological perspective. And one of the researchers, especially, his name is Travis Hershey. He's a pioneer on explaining bullying from a, I would say, social control perspective, and which I feel really works. Is his main thing is that the more active that young people can be, not only in the schools and the teachers, in the social climate in the classroom, then the less likely they're going to be delinquent.
Right.
Also looking at social control from a community perspective, just really paying an eye out. I mean, every theory has its strengths and weaknesses, and where Action Against Bullying complements my book is it incorporates all the different theoretical perspectives, and really just trying to allow schools to use the modules to cater for their own needs. There's always going to be, differences. There's always going to be misconceptions about, certain aspects of bullying, and even dealing with racism through multicultural education. So my book it talks about bullying as per se. Then it goes into, I have information on actually my data from my interviews. Wow. And what were their perspectives on bullying, from what it is to why it occurs, to the perspectives, and then I have the whole sort of summing up. I also have a huge methodology, section as well, which is important. But the main thing is the need for further research and the combination of both this sociological as well as the psychological perspectives. You can't just look at one perspective, you've got to look at both.
Yeah, look at all of them, right?
You've got to look at all of them because there's strengths and weaknesses to all of them, and there's not enough research being done in schools by talking to young people. It's mostly through surveys, questionnaires, and that's because it's not easy to get access into schools.
Right.
And also a lot more work needs to be done with changing the mindset of people in the community.
Right, that's true. So, that's a lot of work though to change mindsets to the community though.
Yeah, and it's something. It's not an overnight change process. Yeah. But when I grew up in schools in the 80s, the word bullying didn't even exist. I'd been targeted for different reasons as well as other kids, but I didn't even know what the word bullying is because of the, I would say, media awareness and other work that's done in schools. Everybody knows of the word bullying. So at least we've come somewhere. And this was a question that was directed to all of the speakers at the conference a couple of weeks ago. Will it actually stop bullying altogether? We all said no, but definitely
it's a start.
It's a start, and it's developing awareness. And I give the example of Zumba. Everybody knows what Zumba is.
Yes, they do.
It's been plastered in their faces over and over again. It's in every club up in the country. It's been around for like 15 years, but it's been the most popular for the last 5-6 years. Why? It's just the marketing, it's promoting, it's awareness. It's got to be constantly pushed. And there is a lot of criticism about the kind of bullying prevention work, saying a lot of people believe that it's not helpful, but these ideas tend to come from those who haven't really conducted as much of the academic background research,
right.
Especially those who I've spoken with. But I believe that if you don't have any kind of awareness, any kind of prevention work, then you're not addressing the problem.
And do some people think that, like, when you do what your organization does when it works with the teachers and the guidance counselors, they think it can like be somewhat like controlling to certain schools, like it kind of controls the school in a way? Like, do some people feel that way about it? Like,
not necessarily controlling, but I think it's going to try and empower them
Yeah.
with enough tools to have that confidence to, and also put time aside to deal with it. That's why I try to make things as simple as possible.
Simple as possible.
Because
right.
bullying itself is a really complicated and a very complex subject.
Right. Right, because sometimes it could be like the little tiniest word
Yes.
can like be taken away in the school, and then that person could probably be either banned from the school or something like that. And
Right.
it might not be something that he didn't mean.
Yes.
But, you know what I mean? So like sometimes you gotta like So
Well,
I
I
was trying
would
to figure that
say
out too.
some
yeah.
of the more, I would say, soft crime, soft bullying
Yeah.
incidents are a lot of, banter
Yeah.
that goes on where they really the peers might not realize that they're actually harming the victim.
They're actually harming the victim, yeah.
Or they are, but they really don't fully understand the consequences behind their actions.
Right.
Oh,
That's
we
what
didn't mean it. Oh, I had no idea.
Like a situation like that,
and,
yeah.
And then you do have those who have remorse. So we have I've also discussed a lot of the restorative processes. There are mediations, and there's a whole variety of preventative mechanisms that schools can use. And it's not just a one thing. You have to incorporate a variety,
Right.
as well as your immediate sanctioning,
Right.
just to deal with a problem.
Okay.
So it's a lot of things, slow but surely, and it's got to be an ongoing thing. It's basically developing as much of a curriculum like maths, English, science,
Right.
anti-bullying,
Right. Just for that, yeah.
bullying prevention.
That should be in there, yeah.
Multicultural education, but that's a separate agenda. I mean, it's a totally separate entity, but it also does fall under the bullying dynamic.
And then talk about that the teen group that's involved in your organization that like I guess it's like a table talk organization.
Oh, you're talking about
I forgot the name, but I seen
it's
it.
the
Looked
New
very
York City
interesting.
Teen Healthy Relationship Network Roundtable.
Yeah.
I'm basically affiliated with them. Now, they basically it's a group of variety of organizations from I think it's RapWorks. It's a lot of organizations. Even the New York Department of Education we've got, who's also involved in part of the Teen Healthy Relationships, and we've had for the last 2 years they've put on conferences in Manhattan dealing with sexual harassment amongst teens. This is a growing problem, but they've also incorporated the aspect of bullying. Because there are common beliefs that it is part of bullying. Some agree, some disagree, but I fully agree with it. And it's more because of the way the interaction that, especially amongst girls, sometimes they don't even realize that they're being bullied, through a sexual manner.
Right.
Whether it's domestic violence or whether it's in relationships and being pushed into a sexual relationship, before they're ready, taking pictures. It's a variety of things. So this is something I want to become more familiar with, and I will branch out further. My expertise is not so much in sexual bullying, but it's a growing issue.
It's a growing issue, yeah.
It's a growing issue. So the network and affiliation with the Teen Healthy Relationships is important, and each year they are incorporating people from other organizations. Like the latest one is from Hollaback. They did a presentation last May, and they basically deal with empowering young girls who may be sexually harassed, especially through public transportation, and try to empower them how to deal with certain situations and getting support from friends and other organizations.
Wow, this is cool. This is awesome. I like
so
it.
it's a lot of networking.
Yeah, that's good. It's a lot of networking and a lot of interaction, and
Yes.
that's what I most like. I love it when it's like a real social, healthy, high vibrating. Anything that's high vibration.
And
I'm in
even
there.
we are delegates. We have a lot from the police that attend the conferences. It's not just teachers. We have a lot from the community police as well.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna get into it's gonna be a cool personal question. What do you think is your 5 main ingredients for your success?
5 main ingredients. First of all is definitely understanding the problem from an academic background. That really put a lot of things into perspective. Secondly, my ability to reach out to young people. And this is something I feel a lot of teachers might fail because they have so much pressure.
Right, you gotta connect to them first, right?
I gotta connect to them is really teachers. They're human beings and they're smart and they can tell me more than what I can tell them. It's a whole learning process. Third, probably it's the experiences that I've undergone through not necessarily witnessing other people who have been bullied, but listening, the research, social media. Fourth, the self-belief in being able to move forward because it's such a complex problem and it's something the need for it. And fifthly, just my passion to try and help.
Right.
Schools. We're all on the same thing. We want to cut down as much as possible. And there's a 6th one. I have friends, here as well as back in the UK who have
You got a lot more ingredients than the
who
5.
have been bullied, whether it's through domestic violence
Right.
or whether it's been at schools, and it's just really just reaching out on that empathetic level, and because it could really just hamper somebody's self-esteem, and they have a totally different perspective about themselves, for most of their lives.
And 7 for good luck.
7 for good luck.
Yeah.
Do more publications, I think.
There you go.
I just believe that I have a lot more to contribute than a lot of organizations in the US. So it's a self-confidence in myself. But,
That's where it starts, right?
I can't do it all on my own. Am I expert? Yes. Do I know a lot about it? Yes. Do I know everything? No, because there's so much that goes on. Research is coming out day by day. I was lucky enough when I was writing up my thesis, I could print out articles before they were even published in the hardback journals. But yes, it's a continual learning process, and it's fascinating, and it's a problem that needs to be dealt with.
Oh, cool. So what inspires you to be the best you can be every day, and how can we instill that in others?
The best I can be, really, I think it's just a case of reaching out to people,
right.
Just getting in, understanding their needs. It's collecting more data, and I don't feel I've become the best yet. I feel I've got so much to learn, and get into schools and developing effective tools, prevention modules to really just help and make an impact. Right. For me, it's all about making the impact. When I was at this conference, I was up against 3 highly esteemed academics, but my presentation I felt as justified. My knees were knocking under the podium.
Right, it was nerve-wracking, right?
It was nerve-wracking, but I think just being yourself, and the feedback that I got from some people in the audience, whether they were teachers or academics or guidance counselors, they all said that I had something to contribute, and it was very informative. So that's my main goal, just to be informative and just really, whatever I feel, if I succeeded, that's great, but I would never, let it go to my head kind of thing. I just feel because it's a continual
you stay humble,
thing.
So
you got to stay grounded and just,
grounded,
and if I feel I've helped somebody, then that's the biggest reward for me.
Right. And that's how it should be too. It's really awesome when you can do something and then it just comes right back, and the energy just comes right back to you. Yep. So yeah, that's amazing. And with that being said, that's amazing. This is a great interview, man.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
And I definitely want to be active into your organization more. So this is definitely an exciting interview.
I welcome it. I really do.
Yeah. I want to promote a lot more about high vibration, self-esteem, and attacking this big problem that's been going on for years and years.
It's been going on for centuries, and it won't stop. But I think the more awareness we can develop in schools, and
the friendlier the environment can be, a little bit, just
and
a little bit.
It can just change in the whole school environment. I have a real fondness for one particular chef back in the UK. I don't know how much you know about him. He's called Jamie Oliver. I have such respect for this guy. And he has changed the whole curriculum in the legislation in the UK, because he basically went into schools. He took a huge risk. He's a famous chef. He's got restaurants up and down the country now, but he had his own program. But he really took a risk in trying to change the eating habits of children. They get rid of all the sugar.
That's important too. Yeah,
and because it does cut down, control the young children's, the hyperness, and it really helps on the academic achievement. And he actually ended up winning some kind of lifetime achievement award at the end. But he made a huge difference that it became part of the anti-bullying legislation, healthy eating.
Now, when you said healthy eating, that's only in the UK, or was that in the United States too?
It's not really given as much. It's every school is, each to their own, but this is part of the UK, and I want to implement that. And latest researchers also has established that group fitness exercises, workout in the yards does help to cut down on bullying, because when you're releasing all the endorphins, you actually bring people together.
Yes.
You're actually, kids don't realize when they're supporting each other, are actually developing that bond, the friendship. And I've developed a whole module around group fitness exercise, but I haven't just done that. I've got the research background there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I would say that makes me more different to other organizations.
No, this is awesome though, because sometimes people think I sound crazy when I say it also comes down to the healthy eating too, because sometimes when you eat a certain way, it shows in the person, and the feelings come out different.
You think about it, kids, you give them sugar, then they're going to be bouncing off the walls.
Off the walls, right, where you actually give them a balance of everything, then it's like, you're balanced.
Yeah.
That was my philosophy with food too, so yeah.
And schools in the US have tried to help. They do. I don't think they really understand about the whole link between bullying and exercise, but they do have yoga experts going in teaching yoga,
yes.
and Zumba. I'm also a fitness instructor. This is sort of like just as come.
I heard a little bit about that. I heard you got a little something developing there. That's cool. That's awesome.
It's a passion. It's my love. During my PhD years, it was a lot of just sitting down, research and reading and eating. And
you want to get active.
I want to get active, but it was just, I felt so lethargic myself. I actually changed my whole dietary lifestyle in order to get the PhD. And I just felt it helped. And you realize, well, when you go to the gym, just an hour out of a group fitness exercise or in the gym or yoga, and you come out, you're a totally different person.
Right.
A lot more relaxed. And I saw the links, especially once I did the research, and the whole group fitness exercise I just fell into just because of my love for fitness and for dancing.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, that's cool. So like you got into it from
and it does. Research has incorporated that you have the left side of the brain and the right side of the brain. And the left side is more of the creative, the physical, and the right side is what we utilize more, and that's the academic side.
Right.
But not just group fitness, exercise per se, it actually increases the right side of the brain, and because you're a lot more sharper, you're more focused, you have a different outlook.
And you're just ready to take on the world.
You're just ready to, absolutely.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Like I get back into it too, because like I'm kind of slacking a little bit.
And if you think about it, happy people just don't want to go out and make others miserable.
Yeah, no, exactly, definitely not. No, you're more inspired to bring it on towards others, and then that's what happens. Sometimes even a smile can inspire that person to do something.
Absolutely.
Just one smile a day.
Yeah.
That's what I go by sometimes too. But with that being said, what I mean, is it time to wrap up?
We have like 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes?
Later commercial one more time.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna go into a commercial break. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. NMS Youthology Hour, Modern Metro TV. You already know how we do it. From 7 to 8. We're in here.
Hi, my name is Dr. Syra Qureshi, CEO and founder of Action Against Bullying. My non-profit organization, the key aim and mission is to install in teachers and guidance counselors in schools best bullying prevention practice. This is done by delivering training guidance, particularly through modules into schools, and they can also be trained online. Action Against Bullying incorporates not only the academic background into the various concepts about bullying, but also it looks into the social psychological factors as well as the social economical factors and how this affects how children interact with each other. Furthermore, as we know, schools across America as well, indeed across the whole world, have different social and economic social bullying problems, whether it's more psychological and through physical, or schools have more problems through cyberbullying or verbal and indirect bullying. Using simple, logical and simple steps, the training modules allow teachers to impart their knowledge and equip them with enough tools and teach children through social and emotional learning, and is particularly reaching out to their social and emotional needs and allowing them to understand the various issues and the concepts of bullying and how the dynamics affect their schools, and through this try to reduce and eliminate the problem. Secondly, Action Against Bullying is in partnership with Bullying Intervention Group. This is one of the largest organisations in anti-bullying in the UK. Established in 2011, Bullying Intervention Group was established by 3 directors, highly experienced with over 15 years of experience in bullying intervention. Bullying Intervention Group mainly comprises of an online course for teachers to undergo and complete. Furthermore, schools that have signed up to the big program, as we call it, not only achieve best bullying prevention practice but also win an award. The Bullying Intervention Group have actually expanded on the program, and schools up and down the country, as well as in schools across Europe, Ireland, Brussels and Wales, have also signed up to the program, and this has been an extremely prosperous program for the schools across Europe as well as England. Now, Bullying Intervention Group want to franchise this program into schools in America. Under Action Against Bullying, through as a consultant of Bullying Intervention Group, would go in and deliver professional training in schools. So schools not only would receive full access and resources on the Bullying Intervention Group website and other resources from them, but they would also receive full training and resources from Action Against Bullying. For further information, I would like to invite you to peruse the websites. Mine is www.actionagainstbullying.org, and for Bullying Intervention Group is www.bullyinginterventiongroup.co.uk. Thank you.
This audience too, this is amazing.
Thank you.
what was the question you had?
Say you want to like confront bullying with like, say this person becomes bullied in their life, right? And they decide to take like a self-defense class to defend themselves, stand up to their bully. And once they do, they kind of try to prevent other bullies from bullying other children. Would that be like acceptable, or would that be?
Are you trying?
Approach? Because that's what I was I've been a victim of bullying. And
Was it more a victim of physical bullying?
Oh, I mean, I was young and chubby,
Right.
and everybody wants to pick on the young and chubby kid.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I started playing football. I started boxing. I started mixed martial arts, and I started not being bullied and being part of the people that did the bullying, and I did not like that at all.
So sorry, you were part of the group.
I would approach them as if I would approach them on football.
Okay, so you're saying you were part of the group who were bullies?
I mean, I'm not saying I was part of it. I was saying that I would try to get them to stop. Like, you know, I was part of like wrestling teams and football teams.
Okay.
There's always that select one or two
Yeah.
guys that do that type of stuff. And
Okay.
I
Yeah.
always, like, made them not do it. Like, if there was like a certain kid in my wrestling team that would do that, I would go a little bit harder on him on sparring.
Okay.
Wow, that's interesting.
Sorry, I can't hear you very well. Background.
I mean, is that like an acceptable approach to that? I mean,
It's definitely acceptable. Anything that is going to try.
I've encountered dozens of bullies. I went to like satellite schools, and
Where it's
people always
ex-
bully children. And I would always tell them, listen, that's
your actual approach, your intention is right.
use my strength as like, you know.
Your intention is definitely right. You only would just want to achieve something positive. I wouldn't say it's acceptable or unacceptable, but you don't want to get in a situation where you can be classed as, put it this way, when you have one bully or rallied around a group of witnesses who are, you know, bullying one particular person, and then he eventually fights back, and you've got a teacher watching them, then they're both are going to get blamed, right? Because they're going to see both are not bad as each other. If you're in the school environment, you basically get the support from the teachers, and you can develop your own, I would say, peer support system through, you know, self-defense exercises and reaching out to the perpetrators that way. Then that's probably more of an acceptable approach. Your attention is definitely correct. You know, you want to try and, you know, reach out to the perpetrators
You know,
particular
also
way.
being part of gyms, I also see like the younger kids getting
Yeah,
kind of bullied by the older kids.
that's a very
And I
classic.
try to, like,
Yeah.
diffuse that. That's not,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
another thing too. Yeah, like freshman
No,
Fridays.
definitely. You need to have the support of the adults. So anything that you're doing, make sure it's legitimate, especially if it's in a school environment.
I don't try to, you know, I'm getting to the point where I can just speak to someone, just like fear someone, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. You gotta be honest. You need to stand up for yourself, right?
Yeah. You
That's true.
definitely standing up for yourself is important, but not everybody's able to do that. You see somebody who's on their own, and it's definitely worthwhile just hanging out with them just to see if they're okay. Sometimes people just want to be left alone. Sometimes they might need that extra
But
support.
also, like, people who are victims of that, try to, like, talk to them, like, you know, like, I would consider myself, like, when I was younger, not I was a popular crowd, but once I started playing sports, I started becoming
Right.
different. So people that weren't on my level, I would try to not be mean to them, you know. And if they were being mean to, I'll try to, like, diffuse that and be like, you know, hey, don't even listen to that guy.
Yeah.
That guy's a chump. That's how he gets his kids. He's probably sad.
Well, you definitely got the right approach. I mean, have you found that it's made any effect on those you're trying to like change their mentality?
It has an effect on my life because I like to help someone.
Yeah.
I mean, my volunteer fire department, I like to say, you know, like, let's participate in my community. It's just always something I like to do.
Sorry, could you say that again? I didn't quite hear you.
I've always liked to be, like, productive and, like, not, like, try to support my community, people who are bullying other people or use their strength to bully me. That's not me. I'm
Well,
a strong person.
With the gyms where you are, where you especially you take, you know, the classes of self-defense, it would be worthwhile maybe if you could speak with the organizations, the owners, if you try to develop some kind of like a seminar group where you can, you know, bring all the youth together and just discuss about your experiences and you know, the whole nature of you know, how bullying, you know, the way young people interact with others, how that's wrong, and then the consequences that it can have. I mean, that's definitely more of a positive approach, especially if it's you know, not in a school environment. If that's something you definitely worth considering, I mean, your intention is right.
Yeah,
But
that's cool.
I think because you have empowered yourself through exercise, you've built yourself up, that's given you the confidence And that's what I'm saying
Yeah,
about the
right,
whole
that's what we were talking about
link
before.
between
Right.
exercise, cutting down on bullying.
Exactly,
But
it does.
but not everybody, thinks the way you do. There's been some academics, I won't say academics, some organizations who believe that the victims should become friends with the bullies, and I'm like, are you kidding
Never,
me?
no.
I mean, and they try to empower us, that, that's very hard if you
Yeah.
want to be friends with somebody who just wants to beat the living daylights out of
Yeah.
you. You got to have a prevention practice, but as much, support that young people can do coming together. You've basically displayed one of like Hershey's theory about, doing something productive to, move away from the more juvenile delinquent kind of behavior.
Right.
So definitely your intention is right. You might just need a little bit more work on speaking with some people in this, authority areas of trying to take it one step further too. And that's definitely, if you could arrange for some seminars, do some guest, speaking.
No, I feel
That would
like
help.
speaking definitely is going to have an impact. I mean, somebody started the movement by doing it. It should be reversible by not doing it.
Sorry?
That makes sense. You could reverse a movement by not doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some people like to sag their pants. Maybe if everybody started wearing them up,
Mm-hmm.
being a leader, nobody would do it anymore.
Right.
Or, if a lot of people will get bigger crowds against the bullying. I think it's definitely going to have an impact. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, it definitely takes time though.
Well,
right?
that's the thing, it's bullying, it's
I
not...
support your movement. I think.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
There you go.
It's not a one-man show. It's not going to be reduced by just the teachers or the young people. It's a universal thing. It's got to be the community. It's got to be everybody in the schools and coming together and just cutting down that one message. You want to move away from that negative behavior.
And you just gotta make it uncool. You know what I mean? That's the
Exactly.
important part.
I mean, when I end my presentations, I have this fantastic quote by Eleanor Roosevelt. And it's basically, it's 3 simple lines. It's great minds discuss ideas, average mind discuss events, small minds discuss people. And I just end it there because it just sends a big message out there.
Right.
And I think you can use that in your own way.
Right, that's cool. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And that's how you gotta turn it. Like you gotta turn it into something that's like uncool. Like how that's kind of how I feel about racism.
Yep.
It's uncool.
Yep.
So not like back in the '60s and the '50s and all that, it was like the it thing to do. Whereas now it's like if you do that, you're like, oh, what's wrong with that person? Now it's like
even it happens now. Where
It happens now,
everybody's
but it's
quick
like-
to judge. Where stereotyping is
Yeah.
the easiest thing to do, and it's all about really getting to know the individual, the group, the people, whatever multicultural faiths, background, even the bully and the perpetrator and the victim, the group. It's all about getting to know and having that respect,
Right.
and understanding that it's fine, it's okay to be different.
Right.
You do not have to sit there and conform to the social norm,
Right.
whether it's a certain way of dressing, to a certain way of behaving.
Right. Well, but anyway, what I mean? Oh, wow, it's time to wrap up now. I see everybody going crazy like this with the figures and everything. But anyway, it was awesome having you on the
Thank
show.
you.
And this
Thank
was
you for
like
having
very
me.
inspiring. And thanks to the audience too, because
Thank you.
this is, without that, this is amazing right here. I like how, the vibrations are
Thank you.
high vibrating. So, you know what I mean? Anyways, it's your boy El Sizzle, captain of the planes, flight boss of the jets. You know what I'm saying? We're in here, Rockin' Roll Radio, NMS Youthology Hour. You already know how we do it from every single Wednesday from 7 to 8. This is how we close out the show.
Batman Bruce Wayne.
Right? Oh, you forgetting?
Oh,
What's wrong with you?
don't let you aviator boss dog, Batman, Bruce Wayne, Young Bulgari. You know what it is. Shout out to everybody. You know what it is, and I appreciate everybody coming out. And, I really appreciate Dr. Q coming.
Thank you.
That is so funny.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
That was awesome.